Welcome to the lecture on local variables. So if you go to the material folder, variable and constants, go to example 8, open up the logical flow and the deliverables. So we'll understand how the variable behaves inside the function and outside the function. So this will help you understand the concept of local variables. Local variables are the variables that is defined outside the functions and how it will vary the scope and also what is the value of that variable inside the functions. So we'll understand two concepts here. Understand local variable concept first, then we'll learn about scope of the variable using functions. Okay, part of that we'll prepare this two files. So let's go ahead and create this. Okay, so I have created Control N, save the file, and Control S. I'll call this as sample1 and I'll create a variable. I'll define a function to print that name and I'll change that value to PHP and I'll try to print that name. Okay, then I'll say print underscore name and I'll say echo $name. So what do you think the output is? So what we have done is we have defined one variable name. Inside the function there's another variable called name. We are printing that variable. Then we'll try to print that variable and then echo, using echo we'll print the $name variable. So what do you think? After the function has been executed, the value of the variable name is changed to PHP or it will return to Srini. Let's verify this. So I'll copy the file name. Okay, so if you see it here, it has PHP for the first time, that's basically this variable. Then it has Srini, that's basically this variable. So this is basically called as variable scope. The scope of $name is outside the function, and when you redefine the same variable with a different value inside the function, the variable will die after the function has been completed. Means after the function has been executed, the outside code doesn't understand what is the $name variable. So it's know the $name is variable defined outside and it has a value of Srini. So the function doesn't really change the variable name because the scope of the $name inside the function retains inside the function itself. Once it comes out, this variable is killed, means it has no scope outside this function. Okay, so let's understand one more concept in variable scope. Let's create one more file. This time we'll understand the scope of variable using functions. I've created the file too. Copy this. I will call it sample2. This time we will have a message to say welcome to PHP and we'll write a function to display it, print message, and we will try to echo the message and then we'll print the message. So can you guess what happens when you try to print a message of a variable that is not defined inside the function but is defined outside the function? So another way is, can the functions access variable that is defined outside the function? What do you think is the output? Make a guess and we'll try to execute this. Well, it's unable to print anything. This PHP and Srini is actually coming up from sample1 and sample2 is unable to print that variable because it doesn't know, the function doesn't know this variable that is defined outside this function. Okay, because the scope of this variable is only limited outside the function. if you go inside any functions, it doesn't understand the variable that is defined outside the function. Okay, this is called as variable scoping. It's very important to understand, when you define a variable, you cannot access inside any function. And if you define the same variable name inside the function and use different value, it doesn't really affect the variable that is defined outside the function. Okay, very simple to understand, and you need to know how the variable works and what is the scope of a local variable. Okay, so I hope you have understood how the local variable works, and that's all for this lecture, and I'll see you in the next one.